Welcome to Retrogames Roadshow, Portland Retro Gaming Expo 2017 edition. I'm glad you're all sitting up close because that means you literally have to see the items as they're sitting here. In about 5 minutes, we're going to play a game of What's in This Bag, which I'm glad you're all here for. Hi, I'm Chris Kohler. I'm a features editor at Kotaku, which is a video game website of some renown. I am a game collector, and I started Retrogames Roadshow like a long time ago at Penny Arcade Expo.
It's been like 10 years, hasn't it?
I don't know if it's been 10 years. But
everything feels like 10 years.
We're getting up on it. Yeah, exactly. And the idea was, let's do Antiques Roadshow for video games, and let's invite people up from the audience to show us their video gaming treasures, and we'll tell you, because the idea was, when we started it, like, hey, did you know that video games are worth money? Now everybody pretty much knows that, and so the surprise factor that like something is worth like 500,000 whatever dollars is kind of gone.
It's like, oh, cool, all right.
But I think that what this has sort of evolved into has been more of a bring something up, and we, the panel, will then use that as a springboard to talk about what's going on in the world of video game collecting and preservation. So hi, here to my left, your right is Frank Cifaldi. He is a man who wears many hats.
I didn't bring my hat.
Oh,
We actually
okay.
do have hats for sale. Video Game History Foundation beanies are available in the museum gift shop.
Frank and I met at Classic Gaming Expo in 2004 in real life.
That sounds right.
Yep, and the interesting thing was that our meeting was right when we met in real life, just as our paths were diverging, which is to say that I was at Classic Gaming Expo 2004 collecting, buying video games, and Frank was at Classic Gaming Expo 2004 to put the final period on his era of collecting video games. He was selling all of his video games.
I was offloading NES games for prices that would just blow your mind
Yeah.
these days.
Yes. So, because of course it was 2004, and literally at that time, at Classic Gaming Expo, which is a very Atari-focused show, there were still a lot of people there thinking, NES? That's not classic.
Yeah, even in 2004, it's like NES was still like the new kids coming in on the Classic Gaming Expo turf. But was that your first Classic Gaming Expo?
No, my first was 2002.
Okay.
Yeah.
My first was 99, which, like, someone asked me how long I've been doing these. It was like 18 years. That's a horrifying realization.
Yeah.
But it's been fun doing it. I don't want to walk down memory lane from all the past Classic Gaming Expos.
Well, I say this if only we represent. I mean, of course, we cross over in many respects, but you know, I'm like collecting video games, and Frank has moved away from that, and you've now founded the Video Game History Foundation.
Right. So yeah, the Video Game History Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit that I founded this year, actually. But I've been preserving video game history in some form or another since early 2000s. And yeah, just to sort of speak to the difference between collector and what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do is it's sort of similar to collecting in the sense that I think a lot of collectors like yourself just, you know, I think your primary motivation, you correct me if I'm wrong, is to make sure that the stuff you love is safe somewhere.
Yeah.
And the sort of work that we do at the foundation is similar, but I don't want that crap in my house. So what we do with the foundation is just sort of make sure that stuff is safe in a more institutional way. For some items, that might mean that we digitize it. So if it's like a prototype game or whatever, we might dump the ROM from it, make sure it's on the internet. If it's promotional material, we might scan it so that you can access a digital version of that. If it's a physical thing that should be in a museum, we put it in a museum instead of in our closets. But I mean, it's a similar approach. I just use other people's closets.
Right. And yes, okay, plugs out of the way. Oh no, sorry. Also, I wrote a book, it's called Final Fantasy V. It's about the game Final Fantasy V, but it's also about the 16-bit era of role-playing games. And I have it for sale. I'm at the Nintendo Age booth, which is down, it's like by the food court in the vendor area, so come and see me at Books for Sale. And okay, now all the plugs are out of the way. So basically,
well, that's not true, because that's where they find you. You can find me.
Oh, I thought you already
at the museum, which is in Auditorium A, I think, over there. But it's a really cool museum. You could come see Rick Weiss's Atari collection, because you're never going to see every Atari 2600 game in the box again in your life, probably.
Right.
So go look at them.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing that he hauls all that stuff out
Yeah.
here. Like, it's an incredible collection. So the way this typically works is we will invite you. I know I've already spoken to some of you in the audience, know that you have brought some cool things to show us where we can speculate on their value and or their importance and or, just kind of, shoot breeze about your collectibles and maybe get into some interesting discussions. The first thing I want to do is now go to this game of what's in this bag, because I actually brought something for Retro Game Roadshow this time. It's something I actually just bought on the show floor, and I want to use this as a teachable moment for everyone. Like, walked up on a vendor who didn't really have that much stuff, but one of the things that was sitting on his table today.
The game of what's in the bag involves you just opening a bag and showing it. That's the game.
Yeah,
That's a terrible game.
it's a homebrew.
It's the Candyland of this.
Yeah, true. The winner was already predetermined. Yes. So, Terranigma. This was the third game in the series that started with Soul Blazer on the SNES, and then Illusion of Gaia, and then Terranigma. It was really. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, it's behind all this stuff. So, this was released in Japan, and then this was released by Nintendo in Europe. Even though I think the translation might have actually been done by like Dan Osen or something, who was a Nintendo of America guy. Somebody. Oh, really? Well, there we go.
Thanks.
Yes.
We're the experts.
So I see this at the table and I pick it up. I'm like, oh, this is cool because it's in this blister pack with a guide. And so this is how some games were sold. Like in Europe, is the French version of the game. So I pick it up and I'm like, oh, wow, this is really nice. It's open here. And I'm like, and the guy's like, oh, yeah. I just opened it to make sure everything was inside. And I said, you what? And he goes, no, you see, this isn't real. Like, this was, the guy who had this, he had the game and he had the guide, and he just packaged them together like this. And I'm like, and he goes, oh, no, because I opened the game and the game is used. And I'm like, really? And he takes the game out and he opens it up. I'm like, this looks new, dude. Like, all this stuff in here looks new. And I'm like, they did this a lot in Europe. And he's like, no, it's not. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, would you take $100? He's like, yeah, sure. So I bought it, because I like Terranigma. This was new. Like, this was how they sold this game. There's no instruction book inside this box. This guide, much like Earthbound, was sold in a big box with a guide, and that was the instruction book. This was the instruction book, and this was how this was sold. Someone didn't make this. This is a professionally done blister pack with a perfect, cutout. This was done with injection molding to fit a SNES game and this guide. And this was how this was sold in Europe. And I say that to say this. Know what you have. Do your research into it's so important to learn how things were sold and to get this information out there so that you don't take a pair of scissors to in this case probably $1,000 copy, a sealed brand new Terranigma, and turn it into $100 copy.
So what do you think the scenario was in his head that he thought there was where someone would take a book and a game and make a custom? Who is that person?
I don't.
I just want a unique way to display my game.
Yep. So be very careful with the scissors. That is the lesson. It's just it's just so hard it's so difficult to know that even somebody who deals in video games, in this case, looked at that and thought, oh, this isn't real. Cut. So, weird. Yeah. Watch out.
But can you blame them with all the reproductions and stuff? How people keep doing that?
I hate that shit. I hate it because it is just muddying the waters. If you're gonna do reproductions, not even reproductions, just bootleg cartridges of things that never came out in a certain territory or whatever. There's something there if you're really clearly putting on it this is a reproduction or a fan-made copy, but there is so much stuff out there. And now it's not even a question of just telling the collecting community not to do it, because there are bootleggers in literally China selling stuff on AliExpress that just looks and sometimes feels identical. And even if it doesn't, it's you need to know exactly what something is before you can really tell whether it's muddying the waters so much, and it's really creating problems, because people are going to start saying, wait, no, that game came out here, and it's like there'll be 30,000 bootleg copies of this game in circulation, which is more than circulation of some real Super Nintendo games, and like, who is to say? Yeah, I'm not a fan of stuff that's not like extremely clear from looking at it what it is and where it came from.
I'm also not a fan of people bootlegging fan translations of games. Thank you. I don't think you should poop in your pool, is my thing. I don't think you should benefit from your own community and sell their work without paying them. So if you guys do that, please stop.
Okay, on that note.
What else do I hate?
You want to come up? You should come up. Yeah. Okay. If you have something and you want to come up stage, raise your hand now, just so we get a general sense of who we have. It's not many people, so we will get to all of you. Don't worry. It's just a few people. That's fine. That's exactly what we want.
We will have to improvise.
Yeah, we'll have you sit here. All right. Here, you put the bag over yon. Sorry, what are you yelling?
Do we describe something we have that we think is rare, or do we have to bring the item itself?
No, you'd have to bring the item itself.
Or
Yeah.
if you're not able-bodied, someone I'm sure would help you also.
Oh yeah, but if it doesn't exist, it's not here in this room, we can't evaluate it. We can't evaluate a wish. Yeah. Introduce yourself to all the people and.
But she turned me into gravy.
My name is Stephen Thomason,
Hi, Steven.
Hi,
Hello.
Stephen.
and I used to work at a video game magazine, and during a trip to Square Enix's offices in Japan, they gave this to me as a gift, and it is a mug and like a tea set, a teaspoon, that for the Dragon Quest 20th anniversary.
Falling out a little.
Falling out.
A little.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a nice it looks like a typical sort of tea mug, but there's a golden colored slime on it and the golden teaspoon in there with it. Yeah, of course.
Sorry, I should have spoken to the mic. Let me see the package. Thank you.
So the interesting thing that you had pointed out about this is you got it as a gift.
Yes.
And it does say on the back, it says not for sale.
Right.
And so you were, because not to spoil the surprise, we talked a little earlier about this because I really wanted to do some research, and you said that you weren't really able to find very much about it.
Right, because I had been searching like teacup, teaspoon, and just wasn't able to find anything on it.
So
Was this okay? My first question.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was just a visit to the office and they gave it to you, or was it an event where other people got it?
It was a visit to the office and they gave it to me.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, because and I was also, my first thing was looking for the not for resale because, as you know, Square Enix does a lot of really nice merchandise that they sell, and my first thought was maybe just excess inventory
Right,
that they gave
right.
you.
now, importantly, also, I mean, there's some, there's copies of like the game Streets of Rage that say not for resale on them. That doesn't mean that it was given as a gift to somebody or that it was a promo item. That means it was packed in with the system, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I first saw this, I said, okay, well, this might have been just a gift item and never actually sold, or it might have been inside of a bigger box of larger things. Now, the nice thing is we can date this. This is from 2006.
Yeah.
Because Dragon Quest came out in 1986.
Also, it says 2006 on the cup.
Okay, well, I mean, we can do it your way, Frank, or we can do it my overly complicated way. So, what I asked Steve is I said, okay, well, what it says on the back here, and this is kind of the important thing of learn to read Japanese so you can buy things on the internet. It describes the items in here as a mug cup, which that's what they say in Japanese for a coffee mug. They call it a mug cup, and spoon. So then I did a search for Dragon Quest mug cup spoon in Japanese, and then this popped up. And it's good news, from a monetary perspective, because there was a listing on Amazon for this, which means that what that means is that they didn't just give this out to people who visited the office.
Sure.
Like, clearly there was some way to get it. Maybe a contest, maybe an online contest through their website. You could probably do some more research and find that out. But there is a listing on Amazon Japan for this. And there were none, so that means it's pretty hard to find. There was also There is a site, by the way, and I do want to say this because this is a good thing to know. There's a site called Surugaya, Suruga-ya, and that is a really big chain store in Japan that deals in all kinds of used everything, retro games. I've been collecting Square's PC games, and I was able to find some on Surugaya. So basically, like, there's Yahoo Auctions and there's Surugaya. Like, those are like the two places on the Japanese internet to like that have a big inventory of stuff. And there are websites that let you buy stuff from those places. I use a place called Zen Market. There's a lot of other places as well, but I use this place called Zen Market, and like you literally put in the URL of the thing you want to buy, and they'll say, oh, okay, yeah, we can buy this for you, and then you give them money in dollars, and they'll buy it for you and ship it to you. Surugaya has a listing for this too, and they don't have any either. But Surugaya, being a retro game store, lists online what they would pay you for this, which was 9,700 yen, or about $100. So using a little bit of
using classic RPG logic,
Yes,
where the store will
correct.
pay you exactly half
Yep.
of what they sell it for.
they would probably, if they had this, probably sell it for about $200.
Cool.
So there you go.
All right.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that at that price, you probably want to hang on to it because it's more of a sentimental, I went to the Square Enix office thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Thanks for bringing
Okay,
it.
yeah, thank you for bringing it by. Let's just continue the trend of people I know. Hi.
Are there stairs?
Oh, the stairs, oh yes, I'm sorry. There's stairs on this side. You don't have to jump up here. It's okay.
There's style points if you do.
Yeah,
but-
yeah, without smashing the mug you have.
You know, I promised cotton gloves for this, but I left them in the museum.
So introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Heidi Kemps. I'm a freelance writer for about 1 billion different websites and also my own website, gaming.moe. That's .moe, like anime, goo. Yes, so
I'm glad you got the gaming.moe domain. That's really cool.
I am extremely glad. Yes. So we've got a game here of what's in the box. So
This I don't know. This I haven't seen. She explicitly refused to show it to me.
I really
Okay.
hope this is a better game than what's in the bag.
So, so a couple months ago, I used to live in the San Francisco Bay Area. I just moved up here, and there's a convention there called FanimeCon, and they have a swap meet. And so I was selling my stuff at the swap meet, and somebody fairly close to me turned out to be an ex-Capcom employee. And he had a ton of promo stuff, like slides of the art for Resident Evil. One thing he had was a bunch of animation check sheets for Street Fighter 3. And I was looking through those, and I was going to buy a couple of those, and he's like, wow, I see you're really into like your game history stuff. I've got something here that is really special, and I think you will definitely want to see it. So now we are going to play What's in This Box?
I actually know what's in the box.
How do you know what's in the
can't
box?
lie. I've been to Heidi's house where she showed me what's in the box.
Where I made a gigantic donation before
Thank
I
you
left.
again.
And what we have in the box is a ginormous pile of production cells from Mega Man 8.
So Mega Man 8 had an animated opening, if you haven't played it before, and it was done with traditional animation, sort of when people still painted on cells and photographed each cell to make pictures move.
And the cells have the pencil on the back that they used.
Some of
first
them-
So this one has the pencil on the back, and from which they painted the cell over that, because it's like tracing paper.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that you went to the FanimeCon swap meet, and that's where this guy picked to sell this stuff.
Yeah.
There are at
He
least,
should have brought it here.
there are at least 50 cells in this. A lot of them are of like Dr. Light's butt and other unimportant things.
That scene was
I'm
cut out of the game.
I'm guessing
so
you
it's
moved
actually more
the
valuable.
good ones to the top because it's so okay. So the little I know about animation cells, and it's just enough to be dangerous because I go, when I go to Akihabara in Japan, like there's places that sell, cells as well. But I mean, it just makes sense. Like This, the sort of thing that I'm holding, which is a big, nice picture, full frame of the main character, this would be something that would be
Here's
worth a
another
lot more.
Big one, yeah.
There's another one. Yep.
I mean, that doesn't even look like a frame from animation. That just looks like a promotional picture.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, you've got the great ones here, and then you've got Dr. Wiley's butt or whatever. I mean, you're pulling these out, and it's extraordinary because, I mean, this one, incredible.
Yeah, the
What
big problem
can I-
is they haven't really been stored all that well, so some of them are sticking to the paper, and there's like some paint chips on a couple of them that are
geez.
otherwise good. A couple of them have, like, there was a cell stuck on top of another cell, so the paint's kind of transferring off. Some of them are not in good shape. There are a lot of them that are, so it really is just kind of a grab bag. And I got the whole thing. It's like, buddy, I'm just going to buy this outright. These need to be saved.
Sorry, so what did you pay?
I paid $300 for the box.
Oh my God. Yeah. You stole it.
Yeah, you did great.
So first of all, I'm so happy that this guy decided to steal from work. Right? I mean, stealing from work is so important, you guys.
Yeah, I mean-
If anybody out there is in video game, in development of any kind of creative thing, period, like, your company does not care about this stuff. Institutionally, they don't care. They're gonna throw it out. And stealing from work is like the best thing you can do because this stuff would have ended up in the trash.
That is absolutely accurate.
Yeah.
We often talk about that just in the world of archiving, not necessarily in the world of collectible stuff. It's like, I get asked a lot by game developers, how do I make sure that my stuff is safe? And it's just steal from work, put it in
Leave
the
a
box.
couple of them out.
Okay.
And that's how archiving happens.
Yeah.
Is corporate theft. I love it. I love stealing.
It's just more important than, so, I mean, I can't even, so Frank, you've already seen this.
I have.
Let me ask you, Frank, first, because from the pure, we've got the pure, like, it belongs in a museum, it belongs in a store, divide here, which is not actually that pure, but for purposes of this discussion, we'll play those roles. I mean, for me, I would just be like, holy crap, keep a couple that you really like and, get these framed, and matted with the art and the everything, and bring them here and sell this Proto Man for,
I'm keeping that Proto Man.
Like,
That'll
right,
be
sure.
good.
I mean, but like, I mean, this would be this is just multiple hundreds of dollars, high hundreds by itself. Possibly even more, because there's a lot of Mega Man collectors out there. And this is not from like the shitty Mega Man Saturday morning cartoon.
Right.
This was from video games, from Mega Man 8.
I mean, this is like, it's there's it's so rare for there to be a piece that is like, here's an actual piece of the game that is a tangible thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I can't really even off the top of my head think of other things unless it's like, I don't know, a game that was done in like claymation or like,
Right,
you
like
know what I mean?
Like an actual
Yeah.
physical object that was used to make the game, not source code or,
Right, yeah.
or something digital. Incredible.
So I actually, for that reason,
Yeah.
suspect that these would go for more than a typical animation cell, even from a popular cartoon.
Period. Yes.
Because
it's
it's so rare for a video game collector
something
to
like
have
that.
like an actual piece of a
And
game.
then, I mean, there's just so many there's a lot of Mega Man collectors out there who are like
Insane?
Well, they're insane, but they're basically, look, they're conditionally done with their collection. They're done. They have all the Mega Man stuff, but they still make money at their jobs. So they're just waiting to buy a thing they don't have that's Mega Man related, and this is a thing that they don't have.
So,
So-
were you starting to talk about collectible versus
Oh, yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I was.
I
Yeah.
don't want to trail away from
So
that too much because
let's get away from the fact that you have like $10,000 worth of shit in the shoebox.
Do we have security?
Give him to Vince.
let's get away from that and let's talk about, okay, Frank, when you
Yeah.
see this, what do you think needs to be done with this kind of stuff?
Well, first of all, I think there's a physical conservation level that has to happen no matter what happens eventually to these cells. I mean, Heidi, I know you and I have talked about that because
Yeah, cells are a bit difficult. Framing them can actually cause more problems than they solve if they're improperly done.
Yeah. I mean, these are not things that are made to exist. You know, like they are made to be photographed once, and that's it. And you know, like they even like back in the old days, they used to reuse these. Like Disney would have on staff like cell washers to like wash, you know, the Silly Symphonies frames for the next cartoon.
Because like in the 30s,
You had to save
acetate was
money.
expensive.
Yeah.
Right.
And so
They just invented it.
yeah, it's actually true.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you know that's first conversation that needs to happen is like these things need to be conserved in some way where you can do other things with them, whether that's framing them or selling them or donating them or whatever. But in terms of like value to an historian or whatever, I don't. So an historian takes an artifact and interprets it and learns new things about a work from that. You know, like it's like we can learn what these cells look like. You know what I mean? Like we can see the detail.
Yeah,
right?
I'm
But-
kind of planning on doing a video about them because
Yeah.
there's some interesting stuff like this one here. If you look at the pencil sketch, the Genga, it's got a lot of Japanese stuff on them, but some of them have instructions written in Korean, which indicates that some of the frames were actually outsourced to a different studio.
Yeah. And you know, this might sound kind of weird coming from me, but I don't necessarily feel like, you know, it's an extremely valuable thing for all of these to be in an archive or something, because it's like there's only so much you can interpret off of a cell. I think that I would like to see some of these in an archive of a museum for potential use in museum displays to sort of, you know, interpret those from a museum perspective. But like I'm not, you know, this might surprise you or might not, but like I don't necessarily think that all of these need to be in a museum. Like I actually think that, you know, these are actually really cool as things to frame in Heidi's house.
Yeah, somebody back there was raising their hand a
Yeah.
lot.
So I collect anime cells, and I would like to like make sure there's like stored at the
Yeah.
get them in the proper bags that are safe for acid.
Well, I think the problem too is like how do we separate the ones that are sticking? Like
Yeah.
a professional has to do that.
Yeah, don't try to do that yourself. Read a lot about it, and like I never do. A lot of times they just say don't do it, but there may be new techniques and stuff. But the other thing that you can do, this is really something that is good for history. Like I own a bunch of them, like a bunch of them are doing stuff and things like that. And there was a lot of car collections that went on from version to version. You can immediately tell which ones are more accurate, things like that. So go find that opening sequence, record it, find that cell in there.
Yeah, I have found a bunch from the opening sequence.
Yeah. I mean, you can find a little pencil line where they just went over a little bit and find
Yeah.
the actual frame and stuff like that. And you can see how much got cropped and things like that. There's a lot of really interesting things to like on that.
And I imagine you're going to do that for your video, probably.
Probably, yeah, I'm going to talk about the Street Fighter stuff I found as well.
Yeah.
And last of all, I would not frame it and hang it in your house. You will just destroy it. Like, put them in a cell book. I think you can, I think you say it, but I've unframed all of them.
Can everybody hear this, gentleman? I don't know if you can hear him. Okay.
Yeah, sorry,
Cool.
I'll come up or whatever. So, I don't recommend framing them anymore. I had two that I framed. I bought the super expensive UV light, some, protected stuff, and, it'll still start fading. So, save them.
Well, great job. Great job, you. You did it.
Yay!
Thanks for bringing that all the way here. Wow.
No problem. And please visit my website, gaming.moe, just plugging myself while I have the chance.
Yep. You got the microphone.
I
Can't
do.
stop you.
All right.
All right.
Who's next?
You sir with the white box that's sitting next to your chair. We're gonna get somebody I don't know, and we get to the portion of the show now where we invite total strangers up to use the microphone. anything can happen live.
He might freestyle. But he should freestyle about the thing he brought.
All right, we have a UPS second day air package.
Oh, that looks very vintage.
The
UPS.
package
Yeah.
itself looks vintage.
Oh wait, that thing blows it.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
That tag off did it, but
okay.
the rest of the package
Okay.
is, and I left the tag on.
Great. Okay, so introduce yourself.
I'm Steve, and I live up in the Tacoma area.
Okay.
So this is, how do I describe it? It's pretty much, it's a Sega Saturn. This is...
Because it looks like a box.
Yeah. So what it is late 1996. In general, the Saturn wasn't doing well. So what does Sega try to do to get more consoles out the door, try to sell as many consoles as they can? They team up with a nonprofit, Project Need. They donated between 1,000 or 1,100. I found those two different numbers on these consoles. What they did was through Project Need, they went and pretty much distributed these nationwide into schools. Because a lot of schools didn't have the internet. back
Okay,
then.
so is this what's in here is the Sega Saturn Netlink edition then, with the keyboard and the and all that?
Yeah, if you want to open it up, we can.
Okay,
It's not
because there
actually
was a
like-
Sega Saturn that was in a box that was
They-
about this big. That it was the Sega Saturn Netlink edition.
it
So it
pretty
had
much
a
is
modem and it
that.
had a keyboard. You can get on the internet, browse the web, surf the information highway.
Yep, so pretty much is that. That is the
Okay.
keyboard.
All right. Oh, and so this is the
Guys.
original. Oh, wow. So okay, so this is the original box, the original UPS shipping box. It's from Sega of America Incorporated in Hayward, California, which is where they must have used to have been located at that time. And then, literally pasted over that is the label from Project Neat Incorporated. So I think that Sega sent these to Project Neat. And oh yeah, they totally did. Yeah, so this box was originally sent from Sega to Project Neat, which was in Santa Clara, California, which is very close to there. And then Project Neat literally just put their label over the top of this and then mailed it out to Union Parish in Louisiana. Wow, okay.
Where apparently, I'm assuming they never used
It
it.
sat unused. Yeah, it looks unused.
What was the educational purpose of this Saturn?
Get on the internet.
So pretty much that's what the whole thing was, is that back... Yeah, but pretty much back then, not a lot of schools had internet access yet, and that's what they were trying to do, especially with sending it to rural places like Louisiana, was get schools that weren't on the internet to give them internet access.
And that's it.
That's it. That's
So
everything
there's
that's in
no
there.
like unique documentation or anything like that.
No,
Yeah. Okay.
only thing I've been able to find on it at all is just a couple of like old news articles that were online. Just pretty much
And
saying
I'm-
that this was made in San
Yeah, and I'm trying to paw through it. Did you like look at anything inside here, or you pretty much just kept it like this?
I've gone like open it and like taken stuff out of here and just.
And you
looked at
didn't
it,
see
but I
anything
haven't-
in this box that had
No.
like a Project Neat or anything
No.
like that?
No,
Okay,
the only
so I
thing
mean,
at all on this that mentioned anything about Project Neat is those stickers.
is on there.
And
Is
I'm
on there.
assuming this cardboard is kind of standard for the Netlink edition.
That is probably true.
Let's assume it is for the sake of
Yeah, for the sake of argument, let's just say that this stuff inside here is exactly what you'd pull out of a Sega Saturn Netlink edition. Just the box is a plain white box instead of the Sega Saturn box.
So it's okay. So it's kind of two different things, right? It's a like new Netlink edition, right?
Yeah.
But it's also like a arguably a box variant, right? For
Yes.
that Netlink edition.
Yep, yep.
So that's an interesting challenge to evaluate.
So here's the, okay, so one of the things that you run into sometimes is, prices based on supply and demand. The supply of this is extremely low. You might have the only one that's still around. You probably don't have the only one, but yeah. But demand is an interesting thing because demand is driven by awareness. And nobody has any idea this exists. You did your research. You're telling
I-
these guys, so now they know. Somebody's watching on
much,
YouTube,
yeah.
they know. And that's not enough people
Yeah.
to actually like have a robust active demand for this thing.
I'm curious. Did anyone know about this before? No. Okay.
I'm not even sure what the Netlink edition is.
Okay.
I'm not even sure where I am. So yeah, I mean, luckily, as Frank says, you have was probably a new in the box Sega Saturn, and that's pretty cool. Like that in and of itself is a cool thing because Sega Saturn is getting very hot, very collectible. Not a lot of Sega Saturns are still, new in the box or unused in this case, and that's great. So it's like, this thing can't like super explode in price until a whole lot of people all know about it and get super jazzed about it.
Or there are two or more very competitive Super Saturn collectors who want every box variant, and they get into a bidding war.
Yep.
Like they could go really high in that scenario. I don't know that the scenario exists, but I can imagine it very easily.
Yeah. But then the problem is they have to educate themselves about it. So it's like if you put it up for a 7-day eBay auction, well, then those two Sega Saturn nuts have like 7 days because you develop a want for things over a period of time. Like the things when I bought something for like X number of hundreds of dollars, it wasn't something that I only just learned about that day. It's very often it's something that I heard about years ago, looked for, never found it, never came up, and then when one finally came up, it was like, yeah, I got to pull the trigger, or I gotta put in a big snipe because I got to win this thing. But it's like that. Like, how do you build a desire for a 1996 video game? Like, it has to sort of like build up over time. So you put up a 7-day eBay auction, well, crud, like, people have exactly 7 days to get super interested in it and then decide they want to spend a bunch of money on it. So it really just puts you in a tough position. So yeah, I mean, it's worth whatever, a few $100s basically, right? Like at this point, but then really the question is, yeah, like,
Yeah.
as you say,
are there people looking for this, and are they competitive with each other?
right, right, and it's like you wouldn't even know unless you put it on eBay and like literally just sort of saw what happened.
And we also have no sense of how rare this might be, right? So for all we know, it's the stadium events of boxed Saturn consoles. It might be that last one that the people who want to collect all of them need.
But I would tell you this: you've been doing research about this. Save hard copies of all your research. Like if you found people talking about this, etc., like, print it out, save it, keep it with the thing. Because by saving all the information about it that you found out, that is really helpful in terms of conveying to other people like what this is. And if it's on some obscure web forum and it falls apart, like, then you at least save copies of it. We only have 5 minutes left, so please pack up your bags. I can't believe we only have 5 minutes left. Wow, that was
Did we have another person? Yeah, come on up.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh. Dovetails back into what you started with about the waters getting muddy. I just thought that
Sorry, before we go into this, who else has something that they want to bring? Because I want to bring you up. I have I have a few people. Is that sword thing you're holding up? Is that what you want to bring up here? Worthless.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. You.
Yeah, come on up.
Sonic Hedgehog walkie-talkies. What's the game?
Mega Man Universe.
Oh,
I have one of those.
It's not worthless. That is. I'm going to tell you this. That is the second best Mega Man item that I have seen today.
There was a bandana also for Mega Man Universe.
Yeah, Mega Man Universe was a canceled Mega Man game. They were doing Mega Man Universe, Mega Man Legends 3, and
Rockman Online.
yes. Oh, and also Maverick Hunter. The Metroid Prime guys were doing Metroid Prime Mega Man, and they just like canceled them all.
Was it Rockman Online or was it Rockman Online?
It was Rocky Mountain Oysters.
Whoa. That went to a weird.
Word association. Hi, introduce yourself.
My name is Jeremy. I have some Sonic walkie-talkies that were found in my grandmother's back room that I assume she was going to give to a...
Was it one of those like
You said
Christmas things she put away maybe? Like and forgot to wrap?
I'm pretty sure that's what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah. This is great. I love this, of course. Oh, beautiful. Sonic the Hedgehog walkie-talkies.
Let's get the price tag right on it. That's easy.
Is there a year on there, Mr. I can read years?
1997.
Okay. 97.
Yes, it has a year.
It was $10.
So that's interesting because 1997 was when they like weren't making Sonic the Hedgehog games because it was like Sega Saturn era. And
So was 97 when they were doing
Sonic
merchandise that
Extreme.
said Sonic Extreme on it? Like, is that the?
Oh, does it
Extreme?
say
no,
Sonic?
No, it doesn't. It just says Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh,
and it's
yeah.
classic style.
Oh yeah,
Sonic.
because there is merchandise that says Sonic Extreme, which was the
Yeah.
canceled Sonic Sega Saturn game.
These are cool.
They are cool.
Standard walkie-talkie.
As seen in hit video games by Sega.
I'm
1
going to
year
cut it open to
guarantee.
make sure everything's in there before we go on.
That's it. Okay, so yeah, this is neat. There are Sonic collectors, just like there are Mega Man collectors and Mario collectors, and so I am gonna go ahead and guess that this was pretty common. I mean, the walkie-talkies. This was a cheap toy. The technology was not high tech. And so they probably made a lot of these. They were probably sold for, originally sold for
$12.99.
$12.99. Yeah.
I recognize that
It was on
price.
sale for $10.
It was on sale for $10.30. Yes. I was reading the MSRP.
My grandma also went for the sale items. But,
Right. My grandma also loved Sonic the Hedgehog. All right.
just weird closet full of video games.
Yeah.
Mrs. Kohler's house.
It's worth $12.99. No. Yeah. I mean. Probably not a whole heck of a lot of money.
Yeah.
Probably like in the $30 to $40 range, maybe if you find that Sonic the Hedgehog collector that doesn't have it.
Yeah.
Just because it was mass produced, there's a lot of it. There's probably a lot of them out there.
And like
Yeah.
the target audience for buying this is like, the mega collector that they send a photographer out to for magazine articles, sort of Sonic collector, I'd imagine.
Yeah,
I don't know how many
and he
of
already
those
has a shipping case full of them.
Right.
So yeah.
But he wants a loose one to display.
Right,
so,
right. But yeah, I mean, they're really neat. Like some of this stuff, I mean, back in the day, like when they were making in the '90s, video game tie-in merchandise, they really weren't making a whole lot of them, and they didn't really sell very well.
But this
So
is probably
some of
like a
the-
toy company,
Right.
That Sega licensed the character to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see Spectra.
What is it?
Spectra, that well-known name in toys.
Oh, yeah.
The first name in
The first
toys.
name you think of was
I'm sure they made
walkie-talkies. Yeah.
walkie-talkies back
Right.
then.
Did it say walkie-talkie on it?
It does.
Walkie-talkie.
Yeah, walkie-talkie was not like.
Is that not trademark?
I don't think so. I think it was.
I can make
everybody.
walkie-talkies.
You can if you want to. Well, yes, Jeremy. Thank you for bringing it in. It's really cool. So, thanks. Yeah. So yes, unfortunately, I think we do actually have to leave now. Time got away from us with those Mega Man cells. I think that was pretty much what killed the whole thing.
No, that was
How dare
awesome.
you.
I
Yeah, that was so good.
apologize.
I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you all very much for coming. I have to run back to my booth now, but I'm at the Nintendo Age booth. If you want to come and say hi, thank you all so much. Thank you for bringing stuff, and we really appreciate you. Thank you.
I want to say real quick that I have another talk at 6 o'clock in Auditorium C, where we're going to talk about NES games that never came out. I am weirdly knowledgeable about this. You will learn about weird, goofy games that you have no idea ever existed. So come see me, please.